You could be a person who spends roughly 95% of your life stressed, worrying, and trying to create perfect situations. When things feel uncertain, your mind automatically creates plans for every single scenario possible because it feels so uncomfortable to not know what the future holds. Though you may love lots of things about your life, it can be very unpredictable and uncertain. You may spend so many days in a state of overwhelming anxiety and sadness because you just don't know what the next 3 months are going to look like, and you're scared everything will go wrong. You've known for a long time that you are a worrier, but just the thought of having to deal with it is excruciating. It can seem impossible to change this tendency because it's almost like a comfort blanket. When we worry, it can give us some sense of control over an uncontrollable situation. But as you live, you figure out that worrying serves no productive purpose at all. Spending more time in the here and now rather than thinking about all the future possible scenarios in your head is the answer. But how do you get there? Here are some techniques that may help drastically reduce the amount of time you spend worrying. Number one, think back to your past worries. It might seem counterintuitive that thinking about the times you've worried in the past is going to help you stop worrying. But bear with me. Whenever a worry about the future comes up, just think, what are the actual chances of this happening? If you think back and realize that most of the time, the things that you've been worrying about never actually happen, that's using your rational brain to gain some comfort in the knowledge that odds are pretty slim that everything will come crashing down around you. If you literally spend hours worrying about things that never happen, remember that most of your fears may not even happen. Number two, make a plan. So if you think about the last one and say, okay, well, that's all well and good, but there is a pretty high chance of this happening. So living in denial isn't going to help me. While worrying might give you a sense of control over the uncontrollable, it can actually serve as cognitive distraction from real problems as well as avoidance of distressing themes. This is true according to scientific research. For likely events, it's even more productive to have a contingency plan in case something goes wrong. If you're worried about a possible future event and you can't stop getting lost in the chatter of your head, get out a notepad and write down what could go wrong and what the possible solutions are. Then stop worrying about it. Now you have your plan. So if it doesn't happen, you can handle it. There is no need to spend any more time worrying about it now, and you can wait until it happens, if it does even happen at all. Number three, you've figured out everything in the past. How many times have you gone wrong or not as you planned in your life? I'm guessing a lot. They have in my life for sure, but am I okay now? Did I always figure it out and continue living? Did what happened actually turn out to be a better situation even though it didn't feel like it at the time? Chances are you have answered yes to at least one of these questions. When I start to worry about something going wrong and how it'll be in the end of the world, I remember that I have overcome so many challenges in my life. If this situation does arise, it may indeed be painful, stressful, or upsetting, but eventually I'll figure it out, and I'll figure out a way to overcome and move on with my life for the better. And this also corresponds to research findings that chronic worriers, or people with general anxiety disorder, quote unquote, underestimate the magnitude and severity of threat, underestimate the extent of their coping resources, and overuse self-protective strategies such as cognitive, affective, or physical avoidance. In other words, they not only overvalue the seriousness of the potential event, they also undervalue their own ability to deal with that event should it occur. Whatever you're afraid of, you're more likely far more capable of dealing with it than you presume. With this knowledge that you are strong enough to get through whatever comes your way, you can stop worrying about these possible scenarios, because if it does arise, you know you've got what it takes for it not to ruin your life. Number four, trust in the process. This is probably the most important but most difficult tip to implement. When you find comfort in controlling everything, surrendering to trust is a huge leap. For a long time, I thought, yeah, I know I have to accept that random occurrences just happen, but I just want to spend hours overthinking and making sure I have control for everything that could happen. It's taken a long time for me to really trust that everything mostly works out as best case scenario. It's uncomfortable and scary to trust in the unknown, but it is also so liberating, and 99% of your worries will evaporate once you fully embrace the idea that as long as you're doing your best and heading in the right direction, everything will work out for the most part. I still struggle occasionally when things get really uncertain, but I like to recenter myself by going to a quiet place and taking several deep breaths while repeating to myself that everything is working out for the best and everything in the future will work out how it's supposed to, for the most part. If you learn anything from this, I want it to be when you worry about everything that could go wrong in the future, you are using so much energy on events that may not happen, when you could be using that same energy to manifest the future that you want. Align with your dreams and goals by taking steps in the right direction and trust in the process. Take care of yourself.